Hi Aquarius, welcome. This is a reading for January 2023. This is a general reading, so it may not resonate. Please only take what serves your highest good and the highest good of those in your life. You may also find useful guidance in readings for other signs in your natal chart. And if you find this reading helpful, please like, share and subscribe to help my channel grow and reach more souls like you. Okay, let's get into it. I've already got the first two cards out, the High Priestess and the Empress. So lots of lovely feminine energy. Oh. Okay. So on the bottom of the deck, as the overall energy for the reading, we have the Fool. So new beginnings, lots of passionate, enthusiastic energy for something. Remember just to stay in your wisdom. With the Fool energy coming up, it's important to remember everything we've learned and not lose ourselves in the enthusiasm, so to speak. So in the recent past, we have the High Priestess, the Empress, and the Three of Swords. So lots of really lovely feminine energy, but also a bit of pain as well. So it could be that, someone didn't receive your nurturing energy in a very gracious way, or in a way that made you feel appreciated. And it's led to quite a bit of pain, really. So I think with the High Priestess coming up, it's also asking us to really go deep in ourselves and ask ourselves what it is to be feminine and be a woman. Oh, hello. You've come to join the reading, have you? You're going to lie down right on top of it, aren't you? Hey. That's Nika, joining us for the first reading, of course. You're going to lie there? Cool. Alright, just chill. Chirp at me. You gonna chirp and meow? Okay. The High Priestess and the Empress coming up together. The Empress is more of a external feminine energy, being really supportive, being nurturing, being mothering, whereas the High Priestess is more of a dark feminine energy. It's more of an intuitive, deeper knowing. So it's kind of asking you to combine the two, or maybe a difficulty in sort of combining the two, if you know what I mean. Maybe being overly nurturing and not nurturing ourselves when we need to, or nurturing the wrong people, not listening to our intuition. Sometimes we nurture so that we'll be nurtured back, and that doesn't always end well. So I think that may be why the Three of Swords is coming up with these two lovely feminine energies, because they can sometimes get unbalanced and we don't stick up for ourselves in the right way when we need to. Sometimes self-care means walking away from something, or really having a good look at your how you're manifesting something in the world and changing that. Self-care isn't always just back rubs and spa baths. It can be really quite fierce as well. In your current energies, we have the King of Swords, the Five of Wands, and the Knight of Pentacles. So this suggests to me that you're very in your head at the moment, feeling a little bit conflicted and really wanting to bring about some change with something, but not really sure how to. Five of Wands is, it's a card of conflict, but it's also a card of having conflicting passions, or having our passions conflict, make us conflict. And that doesn't always mean that we're not compatible people. It just might mean we're not expressing ourselves in the right way, or we haven't really mastered the art of conflict. Because, we do have conflict in our life, and we're always going to have conflict, and it's important to be able to manage conflict in order to be able to manifest what we want in reality, right? Like, we're always going to have a bit of resistance. There's always going to be obstacles or people up against us. And the Knight of Pentacles shows that you're really ready to, like, you've been working on something and you're really ready to bring it into reality, into like full manifestation mode, right? There might be something that you're having trouble letting go of. So with the Four of Pentacles showing up in the near future, you might really be looking at what you're holding on to and what you need to let go of. Sometimes we hold on to those moments of heartbreak, and those moments of tension and conflict, and we have trouble moving forward from them. And so this Four of Pentacles is kind of suggesting that there's a need to let something go in order to be able to move forward into more, more calm waters, to calmer waters. So, the Six of Swords is about leaving behind the mental conflict of the Five of Swords and moving to a place where you're only taking what you need and you're actively moving away from things that don't serve you anymore. And that is often a mental thing, being the swords. People often forget that the swords are very, very mental. It's very internal. So the Six of Swords is about moving away from internal conflict by letting something go and ultimately moving back into your heart space a little bit more. The Page of Cups is like learning how to communicate from a more loving space, learning how to manifest from a more loving space, even for yourself, not just for other people. Like, are you really giving yourself the self-love and the self-care that you deserve? Are you manifesting all of the things that you really want in life, or are you making excuses or seeking, fulfillment through validation from other people rather than actually manifesting from your heart? Manifesting what you really, really want in the world, because we all have things that we really, really, really want, and we just don't feel right until we get them. We don't feel right until we're at least trying to manifest them. They don't always work out. We make mistakes along the way, but if we don't start trying, then we are not in the process, and then we feel the stagnation. We really do. Okay, so in the recent past, I've got an extra one coming out. That just here. So in the recent past, as clarifiers, we have, for the High Priestess, we have the Lovers and the Eight of Wands. So definitely some communication here with someone that you care about a lot, that you really tried to come from your deepest wisdom in the way that you communicated. You really tried to communicate from your heart and from a good space, from a loving space. But it didn't necessarily work out for you with the Three of Swords coming up as well. Or it has led to a little bit of conflict. It doesn't necessarily, there's not a whole lot of like terrible cards. There's a lot of fear. Sorry, terrible cards, covering up my mouth as I speak. There's a lot of fear coming up, or inhibition. I think it's more just pain, actually, really, than fear. The Mother of Cups, so the Queen of Cups is coming up on the Empress. So, I think there was really a lot of loving, nurturing energy, and it led to a lot of pain and pulling back and going, hang on, why are things not working out when I'm putting so much energy into them? Like, I'm really trying to be my best self. I'm trying to communicate well. I'm trying to, state what my needs are. But, if the other person isn't receptive, or if there isn't, I feel like if there's not enough self-love there first, then we're just seeking that from the other people, right? And so I think the Fool coming up on the Three of Swords is like, well, I'm not going to wait around for someone to love me properly and tell me that I'm worth it and worth living my life the way I want to and worth pursuing my dreams. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it, because no one knows me like I do. No one's going to know whether or not that choice is right or wrong except me. So, I love that the Fool's come up twice there, especially on top of the Three of Swords. It's a lot of, new energy, new positive energy, and, in that child mind as well. It's like looking at everything with a fresh eye. Like, I love the Fool card because he's just so not innocent. Like, I guess he is, but for me, he more embodies just this enthusiasm, you know, like you never know if you never try. So he just throws himself into anything, and he trusts that he's not going to fall off the ledge because he's got the little dog there. He's going to yap at him and tell him when he's going to fall, you know. He trusts the guidance. He's full of faith, you know. I think that's what I really like about the Fool. He's full of faith. He's a full manifestation mode, while he does lack a little bit of wisdom. So, you know, there might be a need. And with the King of Swords coming up, you know, it might be something that you're focusing on right now, is increasing your wisdom and your depth of understanding of, you know, how to communicate and how relationships work and how people's brains work and, you know, how trauma affects people and all these different things that we can't understand if we don't know, right? Like, there's some things we can understand intuitively and there's some things we need to understand intellectually. So, you know, it might have been that you had all of this beautiful intuitive energy, but not this King of Swords knowledge of how to bring it into the world. So with the Mother of Pentacles and the Empress coming up on the King of Swords, it's really like, you know, now using that intellectual prowess of being able to master being a woman, and being a woman not just in a way that you're proud of, but in a way that uplifts other people around you. You know, the Mother of Pentacles is just, she's beautiful. She's such earth energy. She just stimulates growth everywhere she goes. You know, encourages people with her down to earthness. You know, she's just really someone you can rely on. And, you know, sometimes this deep Empress energy, this really feminine energy, can be a bit flighty. So I think bringing the intellect into it a little bit more, so there's more understanding of what makes you a woman and why you're a woman, or what that feminine energy is anyway. Not necessarily a woman, like these are really genderless readings, but, you know, we all have feminine and masculine energy within us. And, you know, I think this is really telling us to use that masculine intellectual prowess to balance this feminine passion, this feminine sort of cosmic creative power in a way that is harnessed for good growth, you know, for positive influence and positive growth, because that energy can become quite destructive. The Empress energy can be, you know, very pleasure-based or very indulgent. So, you know, it's just moving away from that more indulgent side of feminine energy into a more nurturing side. Okay, so yeah, with the Five of Wands, we have the Justice card and the Page of Wands coming up. So definitely a movement forward, you know, quite a determined and passionate movement forward, and quite a fast movement forward. At the moment, a lot of really intense reflection on what is right and wrong, you know, like what is the right way to have conflict? What is the right way to express ourselves in a way that other people might find our views conflicting, you know, in a way that's not going to sever any ties or, you know, cause more suffering and pain in the world unnecessarily, you know, that's not going to lead to growth. The only time we want death is when there's growth after it, right? We don't just want to go around destroying things. And the Empress energy can be very, while she's very fertile, she can also be, you know, very passionate. So it's about balancing that. Now with the Knight of Pentacles, we have the Chariot and the Hierophant coming up. So definitely movement towards more balanced and deeper understanding of what your core values are. Yeah, okay. So whatever this connection was in the past here with the Lovers, I think it was something that really meant a lot to you with the Four of Wands coming up here. And that might be what you're having trouble letting go of. The Four of Pentacles, as it's coming up to clarify the Four of Pentacles. So we've also got the Five of Cups there, which shows a lot of grief and disappointment, a lot of sadness over the loss of something, or perceived loss of something. Or, you know, just grief. It can just be grief over what happened. You may not have necessarily moved away from each other, but there's definitely some grief attached, and something you're having trouble letting go of. You know, maybe you need to move away from something that's causing grief. Maybe you haven't moved away from this yet. But I feel like that's, you know, being in your past and this coming up in your future, I feel like it's really just saying, you know, you need to let go of that grief you know, you need to let go of that sadness, because even if you do want to manifest whatever happened in the past again in your future, you know, if you focus on what didn't work, then that's just gonna not work again. You know, you've got to focus on how to manifest in a way that is actually going to bring you what you want. So if that's what you want, you know, you need to let go of something else in order to bring that back. With the Six of Swords, we have the Four of Pentacles coming up again. So again, in order to move away and move on into a calmer place, or, you know, move on into the next aisle, which is where she's going, then you need to actually let go of some of the stubbornness and some of this pride here. Let go of something, because you're being a little bit too attached to something, and that's not going to serve you very well. And with the Page of Cups coming up, we have the Five of Swords and the Nine of Swords. So the Nine of Swords, you know, while it does represent fears and insecurities and, you know, mental conflict that's holding you back, it does also show, you know, being a 9, it's kind of that can go one way or another, you know, in the same way that the Nine of Cups can be either wish fulfillment and, you know, happiness and success. It can also mean, you know, holding onto something a little too tightly and not being able to share, or not being able to move forward, not being able to gain ultimate fulfillment because, you know, of pride or thinking that you've already made it. Excuse me. So I think with the Nine of Swords coming up on the Page of Cups with the Five of Swords, I think it's suggesting that there has been in the past, the way that you've approached conflict is that there is a winner and a loser. Excuse me. And this is suggesting that you might be realizing that no one really wins when it comes to conflict if it's not done properly. You know, that fighting is going to lead to someone losing. So there's a way to have conflict that isn't fighting, so to speak. You know, you can have different beliefs, you can have different ways of life, you can even move away from people that you still care about, but if you create conflict in a way where there's either a winner or a loser, then you're always gonna lose, is what the Five of Swords says to me. And with it coming up with the Nine of Swords, I think it's sort of suggesting that you might be realizing that through some of your grief and through some of your mental processing of what's happened in the past. Whoa, okay, that was a pretty intense reading. I hope that helped. And I might just pull one Soul Journey card to end the reading for you. Okay, we have acceptance. I'm learning to accept the things that I cannot change. So that ties in pretty beautifully with the reading. You know, whatever this conflict was in the past, ultimately, if it's led to deeper self-awareness and a growth in a way that is going to serve you and your highest good, then, you know, is it really a bad thing? It's probably not that bad that it happened. I mean, I know things can come with a lot of pain and a lot of grief sometimes, or a lot of confusion or self-doubt, or whatever it might be, whatever your limiting cognitive processes might be. But ultimately, acceptance is the only way we can move forward. If we desire not to have desire, then we're still desiring something. So if you just accept, then it releases you from the suffering of not having that which you desire. Yeah, great. Well, yeah, like I said, I hope that helps, and please like, share